All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you guys could make it in here. My name is Melissa. I think I know most of you guys. I see familiar faces. Some of you guys are newer to me, and that's awesome too. So today's class is called Body Shop, and I'm actually gonna mute all of us, but I am putting it on so that you guys are allowed to unmute yourself at any point in time. And this class, Body Shop, is a very participatory class, so I will ask for questions from you guys, feedback from you guys, however much you want to participate. If you have a question rolling around in your brain, I guarantee other people do too. So it really is a class where kind of discussion evolves about bodies and self-care. And so Body Shop, this class for me is about teaching you guys how to take care of your body, not just while you're here with me during this 30 minutes, because there's going to be some powerful stuff that happens here in 30 minutes. But my hope from these classes is always that you guys are able to take what we learn here and apply that at home, apply that on your own, maybe you even share that with other people in your lives. So today's class is going to be very lower back focused, lower back hip problems. Those are very common. If you're like me and spending more time sedentary right now, or maybe you have a job where you're seated in general all the time, then you're probably feeling some flare-ups in those departments. So I'm going to take you guys through some great different things that we can do to lengthen muscles to help manage pain. And that's really the key, is pain management, not getting rid of entirely. So things that we're going to use for today, I'm going to give you guys options, because I know some of us have control over what we have in our house. Some of us don't. I think most of you guys are good friends of mine. I can tell you that I do have extra stuff at my house. So if you were out getting groceries and you needed to pick something up, just let me know. I mean, you guys know I've got just bags and bags of extra stuff, and that's not a problem. But if you don't have a foam roller, don't panic. I'm going to show you guys stretches first so you can just stay stretching while we roll. We're also going to do some techniques with either lacrosse balls, tennis balls. Get creative. Dog toys work awesome. Some of you guys I know have dogs and you have a Kong. I don't think I have my Kong in here right now. I'll have it at one of the classes, but you can get really creative with this stuff. Everything should be intense but not overwhelming. So what we're going to start off with today, and I'll show you guys some of my fancy tools as we go through as well too, is I'm going to start off with the foam roller. Actually, let's all go down on our backs and we'll start off with a little bit of stretching. That way, if you don't own a foam roller, you can stick with that. But have, maybe your lacrosse ball, tennis ball nearby. If you want, you can take like a strap, a belt, a necktie, a dog leash to help with some of the stretches if stretching is difficult for you, but that's not going to be essential or required for today's class. So let's go ahead and lay on our back, and we're going to start off with some twist hip stretches, and then we'll go into a little bit of foam rolling. So if you don't have the foam roller, you can always go right back to doing these twist hip stretches with me. So let's start off with a pretty traditional one. Arms go off in the letter T. I've got my knees bent. If you guys also can't see me showing something, please holler. I think I'm completely on the screen, but let me know if not. Let's let our knees fall off to the left side. And I want us to settle into this. Some of you guys, your knees are going to be kind of stuck off the floor. That's okay. I want you to try to keep both shoulder blades on the ground. If that right shoulder blade in this case is lifting up a little bit, not a big deal. And if you want a little bit more, turn your gaze looking towards your right hand. I want you to feel this through the hips, maybe through the lower back, through the sacrum, maybe even extending up along the spine. And go ahead when you're ready, take that top knee, pull it up and down towards the ground just a little bit more. Feeling a little bit deeper stretch. So we get very limited spinal mobility. Stretching, myofascial release like the foam rolling we're going to do can help to introduce a little bit more movement between vertebrae when they're lacking that. Let's come back up to the center. And again, feet on the floor, arms letter T. Let's let everything fall to the right. Settling into that stretch. keeping your left shoulder blade down. Oof. Now, another issue though is we not only need to have appropriate flexibility and mobility in between those joints of the spine, but we also need to have appropriate stability. And that comes from muscles and muscular endurance. That's some stuff, that's some action we had in the last half hour with that waist management core class I teach. Take that top knee, pull up and down. And most of us are going to notice a difference, one side of the body to the other, in terms of, maybe your range of motion is smaller. For me, I'm feeling this so dramatically different. That's an opportunity for me. I deal with some pain sometimes here in the little lower back. Guess what? That's where this feels different. Opportunity. This is something I can work on. Come back up to the center again. And now we're going to switch this up a little bit. I love this stretch for something a little bit different. We're going to bring our legs right up here. So shins are parallel to the floor. Knees are right over the hips. Again, arms in the letter T. Now don't let your knees come towards your chest anymore. Just let them rotate off to the side. And this stretch should feel a little bit different to you. Maybe it's a little bit of a stretch to the front of the shoulder that you feel too. That's not a wrong answer either. You can gaze off at the other hand. Now, here's one of the loveliest things I like about this stretch is if you want a little more, straighten out that top leg. And again, this is where you can use straps and things too. And take that straight top leg and pull up and down. There's my cat. I like this, and I feel it a little bit more into the lower back, and then I feel a nice opening through the hamstrings too. So let's release that stretch, come back up to the center. So a little bit different twist hip stretch. Same thing on the other side. We're gonna let everything roll to the side. I need to make a little bit more space for me here. Roll to the side, settle in, and take stock of any differences. Our goal would be to be perfectly symmetrical. It's never gonna happen. We live in a very lopsided world. So there's a lot of things that we do that are not in balance, straighten out that top leg up and down, that contribute to body imbalances and that can contribute to the kinds of pains that we feel in our body. And if I think about things that are going on in the pelvis and the hips, things that come into mind would be like wearing a wallet in one butt pocket. That's a real bad one. Crossing our legs, yeah? Go ahead and bring everything up. Now, if you don't have a foam roller or one, I'm going to show you two techniques so you can use different size foam rollers here. But if you don't have a foam roller, I want you to keep going with those stretches while we move on to what we're going to work next through the spine. And I just want to show you guys real quick, there's different lengths of foam rollers. This is a 36-inch one. It's kind of the standard big long ones. This one's 30 inches long, I believe, and this one actually might be 24. So some of them are a little bit shorter and not going to be long enough for what I'm going to do. You want one of these 36-inch ones, or if you're like me, I have a lot of small ones and big ones. Sometimes in class, if I run out, I'll, kind of marry two of them. But if yours is not full length, I want you to take the second option, but I'm going to get you guys all into that first option. And again, you can keep on stretching. So if you've got this nice long one, have a seat so that your tailbone and booty is right on the end. And we're going to roll back until we come all the way in contact with that foam roller on the back of our head. So I've got contact and connection between the back of the head, through the back of the rib cage, and through my sacrum, that muscle bone in between the hips. Now, if you have one of the smaller ones like I was showing, you're going to do yours lengthwise. So you're going to be kind of perpendicular. Spine will be perpendicular. And we're going to go like this, focusing on the upper spine only, okay? So if we're on this option, you're just going to stop at the base of the rib cage and then going right back up to the top of the shoulder blades. So, but if you're with me, this is a great option for getting all along the entire length of the spine. Okay, so what we're going to do from this position is we're going to start to rock and roll gently side to side. This is a nice, peaceful, relaxing technique. This is a great one to use before bed, maybe a gentle one to use in the morning. I've never tried to roll my IT bands to get ready to fall asleep, nor did I feel like that was a good start to my day. But, you know, some techniques are more relaxing than others. Even though this foam roller is not going to be contacting your lower back right now, which probably won't be for most of us, just rolling the muscles along either side of the spine above that lower back space in the back of the rib cage helps. Why? A lot of the muscles run all the way down the entire length of our spine, top to bottom. So even though I'm not touching them in the lower back, I'm touching them higher up, and that's impacting and helping them. Good, okay. Let's go ahead and sit up from there. That feels wonderful. Okay. So, glutes we often feel pain in, right? Spine we often feel pain in. We need to think about when we're addressing body imbalances, where is that stuff originating from? So when I'm experiencing things in one side of the body, the ultimate problem in terms of things being short is usually on the opposite side of the body. And this is very true for lower back and hip pain. So when we're dealing with pain in through here, ironically, it's usually because we're really tight in things through here. We're really tight and short. And then in these muscles, we tend to get kind of stretched to the breaking point, weaker, and dysfunctional in a different way. So we're going to actually go ahead and we're going to foam roll through our quads. Some of you guys love this. Now you could do this with a long foam roller. You could do it one leg at a time with a shorter foam roller. If you do not have access to a foam roller, I'm going to demonstrate a quad stretch right now. And you're going to stand, you're going to bring the heel to your butt, and you're going to really push the hip forward, press the knee down. If this is hard for you to do, simply loop that strap around your foot, and you can do it that way as well too. Holding on for balance, 30 seconds each side. But if you are with me, you're going to be right here into that foam roller. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so I'm kind of army crawling on my elbows. Oh, ha, ha, that's exciting. All the way down from the top of my kneecaps, all the way up. As high as you feel comfortable going. That'll be different for guys versus gals, towards the top of the thigh. So you can actually roll all the way past, ladies, the pubic bone up into the front of the hips, if that feels comfortable for you. Right now, my toes are just kind of facing down towards the ground. I might move around a little bit to show you guys different angles. And I'm just rolling through the entire top of my thighs. The slower you go, the more intense it's going to feel. So the other thing you can do is you can always take your foam roller and wrap it up in your yoga mat like a burrito. And then this little burrito wrapper layer is going to give you a lot of extra cushion, so it's not going to be as intense. They make these in different intensities as well too. So I know we've been rolling through the front of the quads. Now what I want us to do is, our quads is actually 4 different muscles. So we have 2 that go straight down the middle. Now we're going to go after the 2 that are in the inside. So what I want you to do is turn your toes out, feet out, really rotating through that thigh, so we almost have kind of those duck feet going on. And now we're going to get through a muscle we call the vastus medialis, ouch, which is the inside quad. He tends to be pretty stingy. This is a muscle that tends to get weak relative to the other parts of the quad. And when it does, we can get knees that buckle. We can get a knee that's vulnerable, more vulnerable to things like tears in our MCL or ACL, the ligaments in our knee. So he's one that we really try to focus on training, strength, endurance, and neuromuscular connection through our exercise. And releasing him can help to kind of wake him up a little bit too. So now we're going to get into the opposite muscle. Hopefully you guys felt a little bit of the difference there. It felt like terrible and like a different kind of terrible. Now we're going to feel an even different kind of terrible, because we're going to turn our toes in. You probably are not going to look like me. I'm double jointed. You don't want to be that. And we're going to get a little bit more towards the outside of the thigh. So most of you guys, this is going to be a subtle rotation in that thigh, but probably a pretty dramatic difference in feeling. Now I'm by the door where my cat is. My sister noticed her. She's sweeping her paws earlier. I'm surprised she's not trying to get me under here. Oh, you know what? That's a great point. I'll have to have foam rolling with my animals with you guys one of these days, because is Kenny foam rolling with you guys? I can't even see anything from here. Animals love foam rolling. Kids do too, like young kids. Because like you're down, you're like in their universe, you know? So like you want a better relationship with your pets and your quads, get down on the ground and start foam rolling at home. They'll think that you were there for them. Not to mention when we start using things like the lacrosse balls. Okay, terrible? Yes? Good. So let's move on from there. Now, my rule of thumb is the worse it feels or the more intense it is, the more you need that. That is a tough spot for most people. I've gotten out of the habit, which is terrible. And then when I got back into it, I was like, oh, this is what people are crying about. So intensity is what we're after. You should be able to breathe into it though. So let's go for some hip flexor stretches here today. And I'm going to take you guys through one of my favorite ones. I modify it a little bit. We're going to take it into a runner's lunge. I'm lazy and I want to make my life more easy. So one of the keys to this runner's lunge is what's going on in my front leg. My knee is always behind my toes, not in front of it. So my front heel is on the ground. Now, once I get into that lunge position, I'm starting to feel a nice opening through that back hip. Maybe you see something through the front hip too, that's fine. I'm going to let that back knee drop down to the ground. This is my preference. You can keep it lifted. And I drop my foot to the floor and I just hang out here. Now, if that knee's pushing forward, just slide the heel forward a little bit. Your stretch may not be this deep and this low at all, okay? You may be more here. That may be where you can be. Now, we're going to take a new depth, new level here as we let this hip flexor, the psoas, open up through the back. I'm going to turn and rotate so you guys can see. We're going to bring the hand to the inside of this foot to bring in a little bit of stretch through here. Some of you guys may be able to drop down to even your forearms or your elbows. So now I've still got that big stretch in that back leg in the front of the thigh. And now I have a nice big stretch through this front leg as well too. Stretches we want to hold for 20 to 30 seconds for optimal lengthening. You want to be able to breathe into them. You're going to be less aggressive with stretches. Why? You can pull muscles with stretches. Whew. All right, come out of there. Oh boy, that was challenging. Okay, let's switch legs. Switch to the other side. So again, popping up into that nice runner's lunge. Again, front knee over the heel, not in front of it. Once I find that nice opening feeling in the back leg, I just let my knee drop down. I let my knee drop down so that I can really relax into this. The more relaxed I can get throughout the rest of my body, the more these hip flexors are going to start to open up. Hip flexors, we get real tight in those from sitting. Posture stuff, you know, when we have that sway back, that anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, come on down for this one too. Probably feel a big difference. You guys feeling any difference? One side to the other? That again is clues for you. This feels totally different one side of my body to the other. This would be a great thing for me to work on. You know, I can't really even get this low on this side more often to try to even out that balance. That may have a positive impact in things like my hips, my lower back, my knee stuff that I have going on. Okay, come on out of there. Oh boy, yeah? Okay. So we're going to get into another important muscle group for the lower back is the inner thigh. So I'm going to start you guys off first with a stretch. I'm just putting extra knee padding underneath my knee for this one. So nice inner thigh stretch. And if you don't have a foam roller, you can stay with this inner thigh stretch the whole time. So I'm going to step off to the side. Bare feet will give you a little bit different stretches in this class, but don't hesitate to use shoes if you need to. But I want the entire bottom of your foot on the mat like this. I don't want the foot to be showing to the other side of the room, if that makes sense. Bring your hands to the floor. Feel a nice inner thigh stretch. If you want a little bit more and you've got a little bit more, you can sink a little deeper. But again, this is about where your body is. Stretching and flexibility training is a long-term project. It's a long-term goal. It takes a lot of consistent attention to start to see improvements and start to see changes. And then those of us who know that we've practiced it regularly know that like we stop doing it and man, it's like a rubber band. It just springs right back again. So I look at it, you know, when I call this class Body Shop, one of the reasons I did that was because I always compare the body to an automobile and the kind of maintenance we do on an automobile. Come back up and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, a lot of us don't think about our body like this, right? So the more I drive my car, the longer my commute is, the more I'm out on the road, which is not very much right now, the more maintenance I'm going to have to do on my car because I'm putting more miles, right? What happens to our cars as they get older? Do they get more expensive? Do we have to do more to maintain them? Yeah. What happens after a car's been in that really bad accident that, you know, we're not sure if it should have been totaled or not, but the frame might have been bent, you know, it's like cars start to get sick. They start to have problems too. They start to break down in certain ways. So it really is a maintenance thing. If you want your car to drive its best, you got to put in the maintenance. If you want your car to be driving around NASCAR, it's going to take more maintenance than my car getting me down the road is going to take. Okay, come on up. Now, if you don't have a foam roller, I want you to stay with that. Again, 30 seconds each side. If you've got the foam roller, we're going to do our inner thigh. And to do our inner thigh, we get into what I affectionately term as the Captain Morgan position. We all know that, right? Anybody having like a regular date with the captain on quarantine? Okay. So we're going to be actually face down, kind of rolling like this. So it should be parallel to your body. And you have one leg straight. I'll show this from a couple different angles because I know this is hard to see. My chest and my hips are towards the floor. I'm going to pull my knee up to about a 90-degree bend in my hip, about a 90-degree bend in my knee. And then I'm going to kind of scooch and slide from the inside of that knee up my inner thigh, all the way up to my groin area, and then back down. I'm going to show this from other angles. And this might be a good angle to show you guys an option as well too. Now, inner thigh is tight in a lot of us. It is a big culprit for getting these hips out of whack and these lower backs out of whack. And it's often sharp and stingy, so you can see probably a little better that 90-90 bend. Now, an option is, I'm going to straighten my leg out a little bit, and it's almost at like more of a 45-degree scissor angle. Same thing, I'm just going to feel things a little bit differently here. Ouch. Things that are really intense, come on up to them and hold pressure. Let's switch to the other side. And I want you guys to notice what differences, if anything, you feel one leg to the other. How does that correlate to maybe areas where you feel restricted movement-wise? Or maybe you do have pain? Or just any kind of dysfunction, right? Maybe sometimes it's not pain. It might be a pinching, might be a numbness, tingling, an ache. Oh boy. I would have told you this is my happy side inner thigh. I stand corrected because I'm guilty as charged of doing exactly what I tell you guys not to do, which is, what side talks to me? My right side. So what do? Roll the right. You know, like I get real focused on that. It's a totally normal human being thing to do. Not a good thing. I've obviously neglected this left side, and if I neglect it long enough, I'm going to start to have problems there too. So I'm using this process as a detective, really. Okay. Come on out of there. Woo, that was exciting. Let's give it a quick little release for kind of the hips and the inner thigh by doing what I like to call frog stretch. So you can bring your knees really wide. Your feet are going to be kind of closer together, and you're going to shift your hips back. I'm going to show you maybe, I don't know if it might be easier to see from here. Feet are wide, and I'm going to shift my hips back and down and settle into the stretch for the inner thigh, for the hips, for the groin. If you're not feeling it, chances are your hips are a little too far forward. Breathing into this. Oof. Yeah, opening up through the hips. All this stuff is great that we've done today, not just for the lower back pain and the hip pain I've talked about, but knees. So a lot of these are hot spots for knees. Quads, awesome for knees. Whew. Okay, we're gonna get into a spot that is my favorite place to work for lower back relief and certainly for hip pain too. So we did some stretching with the glutes. This is where I'm gonna have you guys use your tennis ball, your lacrosse ball. If you don't have one of those, I will show you a technique that you could do with a foam roller, and that'd be totally fine. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna be laying on my back so you won't be able to see. And I'm gonna be placing this tennis ball in about 3 different spots in my glutes on either side. Now when I do tennis ball or lacrosse ball work any kind, I do not do rolling and smearing. I do what I call stick and stay pressure points, okay? And then I pick up and move to the next one. Otherwise, you can actually aggravate things rather than alleviate pressure. So let's lay on our back. You're gonna bend the knees for starters. Advanced option, if you guys have been doing this, you can play around with your legs being open to the side, leg long. And I'm gonna take this ball and I'm gonna start on my left hip. So I'm just lifting up my glutes and then I'm settling them down and into some pressure. And I'm trying to go in that half moon shaped fleshy part of my rear end. In between your hips, you have this triangular shaped bone called your sacrum. And we're working along either side of that. So this should have intensity. Most people are gonna bring that tennis ball right underneath their leg and say, okay, I found a spot. If not, you can move around, find a new spot, but I just want you holding and breathing into this current spot, and I'll have you move to a couple of different ones. Encouraging those muscles to relax and release by using your deep breath into that pressure. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move that tennis ball. Maybe it's up a little bit, maybe it's down. If you find something that feels sharp and zingy like a nerve, move away from there. If you feel something that feels like a bunch of needles, real sharp and stingy, like a bunch of bee stings, especially in the side of the hip, stay out of that area too. But deep, achy, crampy, those are all normal. Thing with foam rolling is you don't like it when it's happening, but it's afterwards. It's afterwards that's going to feel just absolutely amazing. Now let's go to our final spot on this side. I think I'm finding the last 2 days worth of classes. I take back what I said about my glutes feeling okay. Well, it brings up a good point. Like, this is a great thing to do for recovery. So let's move to the other hip, the other side. So right now, this is definitely more tender than its standard issue. Okay, I'm feeling intensity that's coming from the workouts that I've done this week. So it's making it maybe I have to focus a little more on my breath, right? Because it is more intense. But this is great for muscle recovery. So those of you guys who like to work out, my athletes, after your workouts, as tough as it might be to go and grin and bear this next spot, try it. It's going to help bring blood flow to the tissues, and bringing blood flow to the tissues helps to exchange nutrient waste products. So it really is helping to fuel and feed your muscles, and so that can help you to feel less sore. That can help you get back to optimum performance too. Let's switch to the next side. Your fascia is like a web of connective tissue, and it surrounds muscles. It goes between muscle and other tissue. We even have it in our internal organs. But when it gets tight, it kind of really tightens up around a muscle, and we can also get scar tissue. So all those things contribute to kind of this dysfunction. Okay, good. Bring that out of there. We're going to finish with a nice stretch to open up through the lower back space. This is obviously, not everything that's possible for us to do to help out our lower back, but we'll keep revisiting things, give you guys some different techniques. So we're going to do a modified child's pose. So come to a kneeling position. You're going to take your hand across your body. So I'm reaching out in front of the opposite knee. This hand's just hanging out here for balance, and I'm going to sink back and down into a child's pose position. And what I really want you guys to focus on feeling is the stretch along the back of the shoulder, down the back of the rib cage, all the way through the lower back space and into the hip. And really breathe into that. This is an awesome one, not just for the back that we're going after in the hip, but this is an awesome technique for shoulders. Opening up through shoulder joints. Shoulders help save your neck. And let's switch to the other side. Whew. I don't know what I'm feeling in that one, man. Think again, sitting around more, you know, you move it or lose it. Losing range of motion in the shoulder joints. Now let's finish by standing up and, okay, bringing your feet for me, about hip width apart. Take your hands behind your back. If you can, interlace the fingers and taking a nice deep breath in. As you exhale, fold forward at the hips and allow your arms to drop forward, or you can even press them up away from your back to bring in a nice stretch through the shoulders, through the chest. Let your body hang heavy towards the floor, really thinking about opening up through the back of your hamstrings. We didn't get a lot into the hamstrings today. Those are a great one to roll as well too, and stretch through things like this. Go ahead and drop your hands to the floor. Feel a nice release through that spine and slowly roll up through the spine, one vertebra at a time, all the way to the top. Stack the head, neck, and shoulders last thing. And how do we feel? Good? I hope you guys feel good. Sleepy is normal, sleepy is healthy. We did essentially just give ourselves a therapeutic or deep massage. So myofascial release is that. So just like when you go get body work done, I always recommend getting well hydrated afterwards. This really opens up your tissue to an opportunity to get better hydrated afterwards. So drink plenty of water. If you're sore, you can do an Epsom salt bath soak. You can ice anything that's sore. But pay attention to how you feel. It's normal after this for the next 2 days to maybe wake up and say, ooh, what did I do during a workout? And then you think, oh, that foam rolling. That's totally fine. Nothing should feel bad or strained or worse. So if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me on Facebook. And I'm happy to help you guys out and answer any questions you have about that. Cool. Thank you guys for coming to class. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We'll do another stretch and foam rolling. Tomorrow mornings, I'm going to make about the feet, the ankles, the calves, and that will help out with the knees as well too. So same thing there. And then I'm following that up immediately at 10:45 with a cardio class. It's just 30 minutes, so you can get your sweat on too. Or is it? Yeah, that's the order we go for tomorrow. So, okay, cool guys. Thank you. It was awesome getting to see everyone. Thanks for coming in, you guys. I love it. Everybody's got buddies.
This is Alex.
Hi, Alex. It's awesome. Did you do it as well too? No. He's just supervising. He's a supervisor. We need that too. That has equal value as well. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you. That was awesome.
You're welcome. It was so nice to see you. Thank you for coming, guys. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye, Melissa.